In this episode of the Buckland Valley Goldfield, we look at the floating ships of gold, or the bucket dredges, the large machines that extracted thousands of ounces of gold from the valley floor. We follow in their wakes and look at some of the places where they had accidents and did repairs, and on the way we find some very large artefacts that they left behind. If you enjoy this episode of the Buckland Valley Goldfield, please like, share and subscribe, and as always we do appreciate your comments. I hope you enjoy this episode and I'll hope to see you real soon. Happy exploring and cheerio. A new mining technology was introduced to the Victorian goldfields. This would be the era of the bucket dredges. Now a dredge was basically a large barge that churned its way through the gravels of the rivers and their adjacent banks, processing all that material on board and extracting the gold. The Upper Ovens was one of the most heavily dredged areas within Australia, with some 50 to 60 dredges operating between 1900 and 1954. On the Buckland River, some 8 dredges were to operate. 1902, the Buckland South Extended Dredge commenced operations just downstream from here at Fairleys Creek. After 6 years of operating, working her way up towards the junction, she was very heavily worn and she required some maintenance. And in 1908, the whole plant was dry docked. Where back in 1908 the Buckland South Extended Dredge was dry docked. And the old newspaper reports actually state that the pontoons were showing signs of wear and were being plated with steel. But since the bushfires, we've been able to positively identify this site. This site had been covered in blackberries previously, and we're also able to see that other range of components were also replaced on the dredge at the time. And about this site we've got a number of heavy steel shafts, some of which may have been shafts from the front and rear tumblers of the bucket chain from the dredge. Now after the substantial overhaul of the Buckland South Extended Dredge, as she made her way upstream, she suffered another major breakdown. Heavy cast iron is actually the tumbler off a bucket ladder, and it was around this tumbler that a chain of buckets would revolve on the dredge, churning up the gravels. The breakage of this heavy tumbler would have been an untimely event for the crew of the Buckland South Extended Dredge, particularly after they just overhauled their plant. And you can almost hear the dredge master swearing and cursing as he saw this thing break, and then they had to replace it. dredges no longer churn through the gravels of this valley, they still play an important role to all who visit this valley today. Supporting the weight of the traffic on this bridge are 4 bucket ladders, 3 of which originated from Buckland Dredges, and each of these unusual looking girders in another life came into close contact with many thousands of ounces of gold, as the endless chain of buckets revolved around their links. The 3 bucket ladders originated from the Barwidgee, the Buckland River and the old Buckland River dredges. The 4th was a blow-in brought in by motor truck by Dave Seeley in the 1930s, when apparently this bridge was built by Ben Morgan, a son of Henry Morgan. This bridge is regarded as a key feature in the landscape of the Buckland, serving as a gateway to the principal upper diggings. And this area was actually an important place in the story of the 1857 ride, being the crossing place of the fleeing Chinese diggers, where a bottleneck was created on the then narrow long bridge. And the aggression of the rioters was actually subdued by a small group of sympathetic Europeans.